Today, we are going to embark on a journey, and that journey is in regard to something that I think is very prevalent. This is a message that I preached a couple days ago in regard to getting back in the gate. I started off with the thoughts about when we preach the word, the person who's on the other side of it um, is is the one who's preaching the word, and the person who's receiving the word. The person who's preaching the word is expecting some level of response in terms of like the transformations that happen in your life. So when you get the word, there should be a direct correlations to how your life has changed after you encounter that word. The Bible said that he sent out his word, and the word bring healing. So the fact that the word was sent and the byproduct of that results to which indicates the word was sent is that there was healing that took place. Every time that God speak a word towards a particular nation or a particular set of people, there is a transformations that take place to indicate that that word derived from God. There is a direct correlation between the word and the materializations of that word. So God said that the word that he sent from heaven shall not return void, but accomplish what he was sent out to do. Whether you are willing to abide and yield under the word or not, the word will look for someone to fulfill that word so it can materialize. Jesus said that if you don't worship me, he will raise up stone to worship me in your place. Meaning that whatever that is keeping the word of God from materializing or manifesting within because of time, he will find a replacement so that that word can materialize itself. If Mary had said that he will not offer, she will not offer her womb so she can carry Jesus for 9 months and bring Jesus into the world, God would have found someone else who would fit that word so that the prophecy that was proclaimed since the time of the old prophet, since Isaiah had proclaimed, unto us a child has been born, who shall be called Emmanuel, that prophecy have to be fulfilled. And in order for that prophecy to be fulfilled, they have to be a vessel. They need to fulfill that prophecy of God. So whether Mary had accepted or not, that prophecy would have come to fruition because God is not a man that he shall lie, nor a son of man that shall repent. Now, the title of our discourse today is Get Back in the Gate. I'm starting with that because I'm trying to give you an understanding, an analogy to comprehend some of the basis of Christianity and some of the basis of relationship with God when it comes to how we interact with the word. Now, when the word is being sent, there is a practical things that we need to do. And at the end of this video, you should have an understanding of what is next to do in order for you to get back into the place of power, the place of authority. So, 2 Samuel chapter 18, verse 33. David is crying, my son Absalom, my son Absalom. Why did you die? I should have died instead of you, oh my son Absalom. And as he was crying, the soldier who was coming back into the city, they came back as if people who were ashamed, as if they are fleeing from battle. There will be no parade this day because the king was crying, oh my son Absalom, my son Absalom. In order for you to understand this story, you have to go back into context. Now, we know David from this point, the Bible said that he shook, he was shaken. If you read in the NIV version, in 2 Samuel chapter 18, verse 33, and chapter 19 from verse 1 to 4, said the Bible said that he was shaken. If you know, read the book of David in his come up when he was defeating Goliath and fighting the Philistine. The Bible tells us how this mighty man was, how strong he was. And you know, at his come up, he would fight against the Philistine. And one of the way we know that when he was fighting against Goliath, he fought him from a distance, right? Because Goliath was a skill in hand-to-hand combat. David was a sling slayer. So it was a strategic move for him to fight him from a distance. But it seemed as if that is how David has always fought battles. He always fight it at a distance. You know, when David was supposed to go to war, and he stayed home. And when you stay home, you entertain things that you're not supposed to entertain because you are idle, you are bored. You're not doing the thing that you're supposed to do. When you're not doing the thing you're supposed to do, you find yourself going up at the top of your house, and you saw a woman, and he saw a woman who was taking a bath named Bathsheba, and slept with her, and that brought a repercussion in his family line. And instead of him repenting, he had killed the husband of that woman, Bathsheba, who was also his commander and a friend. And when Nathan the prophet had seen this, he came and prophesied and said that because you have done this, there are some consequences. And the consequence was that the he will not be building the temple for the Lord. That was the consequences of what he had done. And that create a gateway where sin would enter his family line. When his son Amnon, who was a half brother to Tamar, forced her own sister to sleep with him. I don't want to use that word because of YouTube, but he had forced his own blood sister, his half sister. But David did not do anything about that situation. He was mad. Yes, he was furious, but he did not do anything about it. So Absalom, who saw this, was very furious and he was very mad. And his father did not do anything about it. So he took matter into his own hand. 2 years later, he killed his own brother, and then he flee to go to Krishna. When Absalom flee, David did not want to see him at all. Into Jehoab, it says Joab, I think, Joab. He convinced David, we should bring him back. So Absalom came back, but he did not want to see him. He kept him at a distance, but you can only keep situation at a distance for so long. You can only keep problems at a distance for so long. The greatest battle that happened in David's life happened on account of him becoming passive. In another word, he was disengaged. He was disengaged. He was passive. He watched events unfold without taking accountability or taking decisions or taking the actions. It's like a lot of us who live online of pretensions, narcissism, but not really taking any effort to change our life. And we show up on places that are most convenient to our ego and refuse to confront the issue that sabotage our soul. So David left him at a distance. He left the problem at the far. But you can only keep the problem at a far for so long because that problem will start piling up. The problem will start piling up little by little. You let some things that happen in your life and now they are overpowering you. And David was shaking. He was shaking just like any father would be who has lost a son, but perhaps more if this was something to do with him, did not make a decision to be responsible. He did not make a deliberate decision to be responsible. And you see that because of his passiveness, had allowed a room for greed, anger, and envy to grow in Absalom. So what Absalom would do is that he would stand outside of the gate, and anytime a person would try to come and get a counsel from King David, he would return them back and say, if David won't, the king won't be seeing you today, but if I was king, I would help you out. Well, a few years later, he won the people's heart. The Bible said the hearts of people were with Absalom. Instead of David, he had won the people's heart because David allowed that room where he did not take accountability for the actions that had taken place for his own children, for his own inner conflict that was taking place. So Absalom make and started to promote his own agenda. And as he was promoting his own agenda, he wanted to overthrow his own father as king. In an attempt of overthrowing his own father as king, David ran away from Jerusalem, and then Absalom took over the city of Jerusalem. Now, David had passed the Kidron Valley. He had went to Mahanaim, When he was in Mahanaim, Absalom decided to go to Mahanaim after he had, so that he can draw his father out to kill him. Now, David had captains, and he told those captains to go and fight against Absalom, and he commanded them to not kill Absalom. And everybody told him to tell David to stay, and David stayed in Mahanaim, and they fought. Now, Absalom had a really long hair. The Bible says he was really good looking and had very long hair. They would cut his hair every year, and it weighed about 2 pounds. So he had really long hair. Now, there was only one problem. Because of the long hair, while he was driving and with his militia, and he was on a horse, the hair caught onto a tree and he stuck there. And Joab saw him and put 3 spears in his body, sent the news to David, and David was shaken. David was shaken just like any father would be. He was shaken. He was shaken because Absalom represented his own failure. Absalom represented his inability to confront the issue at the early stage. You cannot expect a problem to keep going on without confronting it. And that problem, if not being dealt with, will overpower you. The place where you need to overpower that problem is when it starts coming out. I used to like this about my parents is that every time I would do something that is pleasing to their eyes, they will make sure to tell me about it. Not months later or a year later, right away. It's still fresh in my mind so that they can kill that problem before it becomes any bigger problems that would be hard to 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 surmount. Even a tree, if a tree is small, if you plant a tree, you can only bend a tree to assume a shape once it's still fresh, once it's still young. But once it become dry, you cannot bend it because once you bend it, you will record a lost. And that's the same way with any problems. You can only fix something when it's still young, when it's still fresh. But once it becomes a big problem, it becomes tough. That's why scripture tells us to train our child in the way of the Lord so that when they become old, they will not depart from it. Is that when the thing is still growing, when the child is still growing, you cultivating them in the pathway of the Lord so that when they become old, they will not forget the roots to which they came from. Now imagine there are certain problems in your life right now where you do not deal with it, where you do not confront it. Families, issues that you do not confront. You're going to sleep. Yes, your mind is being plagued with some of the things someone did to you without actually going to them and talking to them through and figure out the solution. Someone had wronged you, who you know this person is going to be in your life for the rest of your life, and you refuse to confront the issue. That problem will continue to accumulate. Unspoken problem, unspoken issues will eventually lead to separations and fighting. Unspoken problems, unresolved problems. So David did not deal with it. Now he's at a disadvantage because he had lost his own son. He had lost Amnon. He had lost Absalom, and now he's shaken. And now he's shaken. He's at the place of grief. He had left the gate where he was in the place of power, and now he's in the chamber in the upper gate and crying and weeping. So when the soldier came, they saw him crying. Instead of celebrating, he was crying. Now I want to read something to you that is fascinating that his commander, Joab said to him, and he said, and this is something, and Joab came into the house to the king and said, "Today you have disgraced all your servants who today have saved your life, the life of your sons and daughter, the life of your wives. and the life of your concubine, in that you love your enemy and hate your friend, for you have declared today that you regard neither princess nor servant. For today I perceive that if Absalom had lived and all of us had died, today then it would have pleased you. Well, now, therefore, arise, go out and speak comfort to your servants. For I swear by the Lord, if you do not go out, not one will stay with you this night, and that will be the worse for you than all the evil that had befallen you from your youth until now. Joab confronted David and tell him, although it's bad, although the situation is difficult, although it's a moment of weeping and crying and tear, you are a king. You are still have your kids to be, you still have a nation to respond to. Yes, they did you wrong. Yes, the situation was difficult. Yes, they had wronged you, but you are still have to go back into the place of authority to make decisions, because if you don't make decisions, someone else is making decisions for you. Yes, he had left you, and now you only are the only one that is taking care of the kids. And you're in your closet crying, but the kid is out there crying as well. Who would feed the child if not for you? David did something so simple and so profound. And what he did was so simple and so profound. After he had listened from what Joab said, he did something so simple and so profound. And that is the topic of our message today. And that Bible said that he got up and took his seat in the gate. He got up and took his seat in the gate. In the gate. The Bible did not say he got up and took his seat outside of the gate, like of, but he took the seat inside the gate, in the gate. So in the ancient times, there were two gates, right? There were two gates. There was the inner gate and the outer gate. So two gates, okay? Inner gate and outer gate. And the action will happen inside the gate. This is where transaction would happen. This is where they were buying and selling. This is where the witnesses were. This is where when the prophets would want to prophesy to maintain justice in the city, they will prophesy in the gate. Prophet like Emna, prophet like Samuel, prophet, all these prophets, when they want to prophesy, they'll prophesy in the gate. When Abraham wanted to buy the burial ground for Sarah, he did the deed inside the gate, in the gate. When Ruth and Boaz wanted to become a king's redeemer for Ruth, he did the deeds in the gate. That's where the witness would come. That's where the judges would sit. That's where in the gate, a lot of the things would happen. That's where in the gate, where Absalom would see outside of the gate, and before the people can come in the gate, who would send them out before he had promoted his own agenda. So in the gate, to gate, this is the place of authority. The gate, inside the gate, is a place of authority, is a place of responsibility, is a place of owning your own story. To gate, this is a representation of also of what happened to you and what you do in the gate. Of the things that happen, the outer gate, things that you cannot control. You cannot control how they react. You cannot control how your boss reacts to you. You cannot control whether you get promoted or not. Sometimes you cannot control whether you get fired or not. Sometimes you cannot control if you lose someone in your life or not. But in the gate is a place of power, and before you do anything else, in the gate. They happen in the gate. This is where the actions take place. This is the place of owning your story. In the gate. He took his seat in the gate, the place of power, the place of responsibility, the place of owning his own story. And when he got in the gate, the Bible said that every soldier and all the armies and everybody came to him. You are looking for the strength and the weapons that you are looking to fight the battle. you're looking at the wrong place. The weapons that you need are in the place of power. When you sit in the place of power, those weapons will come to you. Rather than you going and look for your weapon, you have to be in the place of power, and those weapons will come for you. Get back in the gate. Get back in place of position. Get back in place of power. Get back in place where you decide your own narrative, where you are communicating with God. This is a place of prayer. In the gate is a place of prayer. In the gate is a place of communion with God, place of worship, place of fellowship with the Almighty. In the gate. In the gate. May the Lord bless His word, and I will see you guys next time. That was all for today.